I didn't get to watch it because I was putting my daughter down for bed. But what story did you tell?
Oh, I told my craziest party story.
Would you mind retelling it?
It's kind of long.
I don't care. I
What are the
literally
spark
got
plugs?
nothing better to do in my life.
I can retell it, but I will tell a shortened version. So I was in high school, and I was pretty well liked. Like, I had a lot of friends, but I was pretty introverted in a lot of ways. Like, I definitely wasn't going out of my way to go to every party. And by the time my senior year had come around, I felt like my my high school experience was passing me by. So I decided I was gonna go to a big party, and it just so happened that one was coming up, and it was in the rich suburban area. Stereotypical, parents aren't around for the weekend. And
Yeah, it's the premise for every movie ever.
no, literally, it was about as stereotypical as it gets. And fucking Christ, I got slammed.
Damn.
And so it was me, a buddy of mine who is named Jake, and for, I guess, the sake of not just doxing these people, we're gonna call the other two people in the car Sally and Goobity Glop is what I decided on. So a few housekeeping notes that are important. Jake is a pretty big guy. He's pretty scary. He's like tall and he's big. Sally, I had previously known. I knew her well enough to where we were friends. But Goobity Glop, not only had I not known her very well, but she is pretty well known for being, I wouldn't say easy, but she gets around. So the four of us pile into the car, and we go to this house. The only other important thing to note about this house
Let's go, A.
is that there was only one road up to this house and one road out. So we drive up. There's no parking. I mean, this place is packed. It's literally everybody there. Everybody's there. Everybody that ever lived in this town was there.
Anybody who is anybody.
Yes, was at this party that night. And I had not been to many parties, but my normal strategy, because I had frequented the Mary Jane in high school, my normal strategy was to just find where all the smokers were and hang out with them and just people watch for the rest of the night. So I had arrived. I had scoped out the weed table. Everybody kind of split up, and within a matter of 30 minutes of this party being live, the cops were already there to shut it down. There was too many people. It was so loud. I'm sure the neighbors called the cops instantly as soon as like cars started to pile up. Usually when situations like that happen, I decided to go into mom mode, and I started to round everybody up. So I'm going around, I'm rounding everybody. I find Jake, I find Sally, but I cannot find Googity Glop. So I round up the three of us, and I say, well, we got to find her before we leave. We can't just leave her here.
Of course not.
And we go into a search party mode. We're all searching around this house. This house is massive. When I told you it was fucking suburban rich kid town, it was suburban rich kid town. This fucking house is huge. Eventually, I end up finding her in the kitchen. She is on the lap of this sleaze bag, this weird sleaze bag. And I'm like, okay, I guess she's kind of like found him. So I walk up, and I start to notice that she is a little more loopy than anybody should ever be 30 minutes into a party.
Oh, no.
To the point where it's reasonable to think that she may have been drugged.
Oh no.
It's reasonable to think that. And I walk up to this guy, and I say, hey, Googity Glop, the party's getting shut down. We gotta go. And she goes, okay. And she starts to get up, and the guy just pulls her back down onto his lap. And he goes, nah, bro. She's with me. And I was like, oh, shit. Obviously, there's a conflict between me and Sleazebag here. He doesn't like me, you know, ruining his drugs, I guess, or like wasting his drugs. So, well, this was my call to action, right? This is my big moment. I have to save this girl. There's no way I'm going to let this guy get away with what he's trying to get away with. Now, hear me out. I was not training martial arts at this time. I was not working out at this time. I'm a pretty scrawny kid. I'm a tall guy, but I'm a pretty scrawny kid. And Googity Glop is not the tiniest of girls. But in one fellow action, I grab her arm, pull her close to me, and throw her over my shoulder fireman style. And I start booking it. So I was able to fireman carry her out of this building. And I was able to somehow make it out of this house and run back to Jake's truck. Now, they were still inside searching for Googity Glop. So I make it to Jake's truck, and I try to open the door, and it's locked. And at this point, I have turned around, And who is behind me? No other than Sleazebag, as well as 2 of his goons. And I'm like, okay, well, this is it. Either I'm going to make a stand here, or I'm going to give this girl up. What most likely would have happened is I would have gave her up and then got my ass kicked anyways. So I put her off my shoulder. I lean her against the truck. She's like good enough to kind of like hold herself up. I turn around to face these guys 3-on-1, and this is it, the final showdown. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna fucking clock these guys, right? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My buddy Jake comes sprinting down the hill. And when I told you he was a big fucking guy that nobody wants to fuck with, he is a big guy that nobody wants to fuck with. He came running down this hill, clocks Sleazebag, just fucking decks him. And his cronies literally run. Like as soon as the alpha dog went down, the beta cucks had to sprint.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so Jake unlocks the car, we all jump in, and we're off. And you would think this is the end of the story. You would think, woman saved, we are okay. But may I remind you that it was a one-way road to get here. And the cops have already shown up and formed a blockade blocking off the only exit to this road. So we had to think of a plan quick. And although I would advocate for a designated driver, I will say that Jake was not the most sober person. So in a fit of craziness, we are up on a hill, as most suburban rich towns are. He drives over the curb and starts driving down this dirt hill.
Hell yeah, he does.
Oh,
And because it's a bunch of teenagers at this party, everybody else thinks it's a good idea, even though they do not have 4-wheel drive trucks, like my boy Jake. They also decide to go over the curb and drive down the hill to less success than us. But we are able to get away and get to a highway and drive away. Now, I don't know if you guys know how date rape drugs work, but normally when you are on them, you are a little more friendly. So Googity Glop is in the back seat. May I remind you that Jake is well enough to drive, but he's definitely under the influence. And Googity Glop decides to poke her head to the front of the car, grab my friend's crotch, and just start licking the side of his face. Now, at this point, I am insanely scared because I do not trust Jake to concentrate on not only the highway, but also this woman who is, I guess we'll leave it at trying to get his attention. So I'm not gonna say I like shoved the girl hard, but I definitely like threw her off of him hard enough. And I requested that Sally pin the girl to the back. Now this story doesn't have a happy ending, but whenever a party would get crashed in high school, for some reason, everybody would meet up at the high school parking lot. So we're in this parking lot. We don't want our night to end, so we're trying to find somebody to dump Googly Glop on. And we end up dumping it off on who would later become my ex-girlfriend and continue our night. But that is the craziest story I have.
That doesn't